Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm bringing you my top 10 cards coming out of Rebel Clash. Before we get into today's video, I do want to mention that I am doing a 12-hour live stream with the release of Rebel Clash on PTCGO this Thursday, so be sure to come by, check that out. 12 p.m. Eastern, 12 a.m. Eastern. Going to be giving away all my extra cards that I pull on PTCGO. Going to be opening 400 Rebel Clash packs, so come by, check that out. Going to be a great time. But yeah, let's get into the top 10 here. First, I have the Galarian Meowth. When I was initially making this list, I thought I was going to have to do like 15 cards, but as I actually kind of worked through it, picked my number one card and worked my way down, I actually struggled to fill this 10th spot. But I think the Galarian Meowth, just because of its ability, the ability is ridiculously good when you're trying to make a stage 1 evolution into play. The ability is not quite as good if you're trying to get to a stage 2 because you're usually using red candy. But when you're just trying to get this Meowth into the Berserker, the ability is super sick. Discard 2 cards, search our deck for a Galarian Berserker, put it into our hand, and then either we evolve it next turn if we search it out immediately, or we do it the turn after, evolve it then. Good to go. Yeah, ridiculously strong ability. Definitely see more Berserker play in the future with the release of this guy. Up next, I got the Tool Scrapper. We've had Tool Scrapper before. It's the exact same card like it was before. We can discard up to 2 tool cards in play, ours or our opponent's. It's nothing too ridiculous. It's nice to have some tool control once again, especially for tools like the Metal Frying Pan and the Big Charm. Stuff like Vitality Band. Really, if like that's the only tool that's seen play, then it it gets its immediate use. You attach it, you hit for that plus 10 damage, and then either it's getting knocked out or the plus 10 damage might not be relevant. So for tools like that, Tool Scrapper isn't really relevant. But like Frying Pans, Big Charms, like I said, super good for those kind of tools. So as long as those tools are good, Tool Scrapper is good. Nice to see it back in the format, in the meta. Next up, we have that Twin Energy, super powerful card. Basically double colorless energy, but it is limited because you can't attach it. Well, you can attach it to V and GX Pokemon, but it only provides 1 colorless energy. So you can attach it to the Vs and the GXs, but it's not as good. When you attach it to a non-V, non-GX, provides 2 energy. So ridiculously powerful card. The only deck I see getting immediate value out of it is Lost March, but that doesn't mean it's not a powerful card. I'm sure with new sets in the future, or even maybe some stuff in Expanded, this card will see quite a bit of play in its lifetime in Standard. As new sets come out, right now I only see Lost March getting a ton of value out of it, but I'm sure, like I said, couple sets down the road, this card will be seeing a lot more play. Up here at the number 7, I do have the Capture Energy. When we attach it to one of our Pokemon, can search our deck for a basic Pokemon. That's pretty good when we attach our energy for turn. However, it is colorless energy, so I think the card is actually like ridiculously strong. Being able to attach your energy for turn and search your deck for a basic Pokemon is kind of ridiculous. However, it only provides colorless energy. A lot of decks right now, I don't think will be able to play this card. Welder decks need to play Fire Energy. The Lightning decks need to play Lightning Energy. Psychic decks now will probably play the Horror Energy that's coming out in this set. So I don't see a lot of room for this deck card currently. However, I do have it here at number 7 because I think with a couple future sets, get some different Pokemon in there that are attacking and can have use for this energy. As long as this energy can fit in the deck, you can be like, well, I'm running a grass deck, but I can definitely, take 4 grass energy out of a deck, play 4 capture energy very easily, and not have it ruin the consistency of attacking, then we'll definitely see this card see play. Ridiculously good card. Just needs to wait for the right decks that are good to be able to have it played in them. But it might not be immediately, but I think down the road, we'll see some play from this guy right here. Number 6, I got the Toxtricity VMAX, the first real attacking Pokemon. Took a look at the Galarian Meowth. Now we're looking at the second Pokemon on the list. A lot of really good energy, a lot of really good trainer cards in this set. There are a couple good Pokemon, though. Toxtricity is one of them, I think. It's got that 160 plus 80 if the opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned, and it can become poisoned through the Garbodor that's also coming out in the set that says if there's a Stadium card in play, leave the opponent's active poison. So we're hitting for 240 if they're just poisoned, so that's 250 with the poison damage, usually. And then throw some E-powers in there. We can get up to, 300, 310 pretty consistently, 320 if we want to. One-shotting most GX Pokemon, most V Pokemon. The V Maxes, we might come up a little bit short sometimes, but we can probably one-shot one of them throughout a game. Might have to two-shot another one, whatever. Card is really strong. It hits really hard with Thunder Mountain, Coco Prism. You can get attacking on turn 2. Yeah, I think this guy's going to be a heavy hitter in the new set. Definitely, I see him sitting in tier 2, tier 3 for sure. We might see him make his way up to tier 1. We'll have to kind of, wait and see. Actually play around with the card, see what else is actually good. I do have the Dragapult here at number 5. similar reason to the Toxtricity. I just think it's the next best VMAX, or a little bit better than Toxtricity overall. Attacks for 1 psychic energy and 2 psychic energy, so you don't really need to play it with Malamar, even though you could. You probably just play it by itself. I've been theorizing that you could play it with greens, or maybe because of its attack that does 130 damage and put 5 damage counters on your opponent's bench in any way you like, you could play it with the Appleton. I think that's how you say that guy's name. He puts 2 damage counters in play and shuffles itself back into the deck. You can play it with greens as well. Maybe greens and Roxy's and just get more damage spread into play. Maybe you play it a little bit more turbo with Jirachi's or something like that with the Stellar Wishes. I don't know, but the attack's pretty good. It's got a lot of HP. Spreading 5 damage counters wherever you want is pretty good, especially with the release of the Horror Energy and having a spell tag on it. I'm a big fan of the Dragapult VMAX. I think there's a lot of ways you can play it. Just kind of have to wait and see, figure out the best one. And yeah, these are the only 2 VMAXs I have on my list. I think there is potential in the other VMAXs, the Cinderace, the Rillaboom, stuff like that. However, not convinced they're going to be quite as good as these guys. So I have these guys on the list. The other guys definitely have potential, and I would love to see them all be super strong and super powerful with the release of the new set. But I got most faith in Toxtricity and the Dragapult right here. At number 4, I got that Scoop Up Net. A lot of cool uses for this card potentially. It adds more to the potential of just like more Stellar Wishes per turn with the Jirachi engine. You can do a lot of Stellar Wishes. If you had Scoop Up Nets, you could be playing 4 Switch, 4 Scoop Up Net, and like 2 Escape Board. You could Stellar Wish a lot with that many item cards in the deck that can provide Stellar Wishes. And expanded, this card is obviously insane. I think it'll have to get banned at some point. I don't see this card being able to survive and expanded. It's kind of too good with Shaman and just kind of EXs in general. So I'm going to assume this card is going to get banned and expanded. I don't know for sure, but I don't think it'll be able to stick around. It seems too good and expanded. So it'll probably get banned and expanded. It's not banned yet. Standard, I still see some uses through Jirachi. Stuff like the Obstagoon, maybe to have like more damage spreading through that, or even just healing Obstagoons, use like that. And I'm sure with future sets, this card will see a lot of value with some other cards. It's just really kind of too good of a card to not be good at some point for sure. At some point, I'm guaranteed this is going to be in a tier 1 deck doing some crazy shenanigans. Up at number 3, we got the Boss's Orders. I don't have too much to say on this. It's just nice to have like a very consistent gust effect in the format like we used to have with Lysandre, which was the exact same card as this one. Just bring up a Pokemon off our opponent's bench into the active. It is a supporter, so it does have that as its drawback, but you don't have to flip a coin with like Pokemon Catcher, or you don't have to have 2 of them in hand with Custom Catcher, or you don't have to use Great Catcher that can only bring up GX Pokemon, and you have to discard 2 cards. It's just like, all right, bench Pokemon coming to the active. It is my supporter for the turn, but I get that, guaranteed gust effect. Just make it happen, bring that guy up. I'm gonna hit him, knock him out, whatever, right? So it's nice to see like just a consistent gust effect in the format. I think Custom Catcher probably won't be played anymore. I could still see Pokemon Catcher being played, and I think Great Catcher will definitely still be played because Dedenne is still really good, and it's always free 2 prizes at some point in a game when you find your Great Catcher and bring it up into the active. But yeah, Custom will probably be pushed out of the meta because of this guy. But yeah, I'm just kind of happy to see it there. Number 2, I do have the Speed Energy. Okay, this was in my number 1 spot for a long time until I thought about it a little bit more, and we have a new card in my number 1 spot. But I think this card is ridiculous. Being able to draw two cards when you attach your energy for turn is just kind of insane. I think it might be one of the best cards of all time, actually. I think this card is actually that good. And it's really just going to come down, if it sees play, it needs lightning attackers that can kind of keep up, right, and deal damage to keep up in the meta. So Toxtricity VMAX, obviously, Pikarom. If those guys can still keep up against the other Pokemon in the meta, then this card is going to be an insane boost to them for sure. Yeah, being able to draw 2 cards when you attach your energy for the turn is just ridiculous. One of the things that makes this definitely viable is because it does have an energy type. Unlike the draw energy that we've had before, or like I talked about capture energy, you just play this with your lightning Pokemon. Like if this was a fire type, if it was water type, whatever, it would see play with that type of deck, right? And the same thing if capture energy was a type, or if draw energy, like we saw 2 sets ago, last set, whatever, 2 sets ago now, I think. If that had a type, it would definitely have seen more play. But being a colorless energy definitely limits the viability of energy. But this being a lightning energy, you just put it in your lightning deck, and instead of attaching a basic lightning for a turn, you attach the speed energy, and then you just draw 2 cards. I mean, that sounds insane to me. I'm excited to see what kind of what this deck brings to the lightning decks. It's gonna be insane. And up at number 1, I do have the Eldegoss V. I didn't have him up here initially But the more I thought about it, the more it kind of brings to consistency in the game and overall actually just welder decks and the way it works with boss's orders as well. I think this card is just definitely the best overall card in the set. It's going to add a whole ton of consistency to the game into those mid-game, late-game situations where you can just, instead of, just not doing anything on your turn because you don't have a supporter, you go quick ball, you get your AzulGG V, you go get your boss's order, you go get your research, play that for your turn instead of just doing nothing on your turn. It's going to be great. I actually am a huge fan of this card. Super glad that they printed it. I wouldn't have been able to come up with the card myself, but the fact that it exists and I read it and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I'm glad this card exists is great. So I'm super excited for this card to exist and be in the game with Rebel Clash. It's gonna add a whole bunch, like I said, a whole bunch of consistency into those mid game and late game scenarios. And then yeah, help you close out games a little bit better, more consistently. Combos like ridiculously well with boss's orders, specifically. And any point in the game where I don't have a supporter, you can go get your professor's research out of your discard pile, just draw 7 new cards. And then also, welder decks are gonna love this card because being able to just like quick ball into a welder is pretty insane. You have to have used that first welder or had it make its way into the discard pile somehow. But yeah, being able to go quick ball for welder is pretty ridiculous. You might only play one of it in most decks. I see most decks playing this as a one of, but that's still a huge boost. When all of your quick balls become outs to supporters, that's pretty insane. Yeah, and that's all I gotta say on the AzulGG here. And that's it. That's my top 10 for Rebel Clash. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, give the video a like. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to subscribe. 12-hour live stream Thursday. Release of Rebel Clash. Make sure you're there. It's going to be tons of fun. Going to be opening 400 Rebel Clash packs. Going to be building a bunch of new decks and trying everything out. So yeah, come by. It's going to be great. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. And peace.